Hey everyone, welcome to Daily News Analysis. Today is January 11 and let's see what are the important news that are relevant for your CLAT and other entrance examinations. Starting with first news, it's regarding Union Carbide. I think you all are aware of this Bhopal gas tragedy, and Union Carbide says that they won't pay anything more. Whatever settlement has already happened, that has been agreed between the center and the Union Carbide, they are not willing to pay anything more. However, the center is demanding more payment to compensate for the victims of Bhopal gas tragedy. So government walking a slippery slope by seeking more funds for Bhopal gas leak victims over and above the $470 million that was paid by the company. So Supreme Court is saying that, and Supreme Court is asking that why 50 crore rupees of relief is not disbursed. So still the government is demanding more. However, still they have 50 crore rupees that is not disbursed yet. So Supreme Court is asking why is it so? So the Union Carbide Corporation said it is not willing to pay a farthing more if a settlement with the center in 1989 is set aside by the Supreme Court, even as a constitution bench asked the government why 50 crore rupees of the 470 million paid by the company has still not reached the Bhopal gas leak tragedy victims after all these years, because it's a 1989 case and it's 2023. So over 30 years have passed, and still if it is not clear why 50 crore rupees has not reached the victims, and still they are demanding more. So what is the reason behind that? The Supreme Court is curious. The center, in a curative plea, has contended that the 1989 settlement is seriously impaired. It has sought additional funds of over 7,400 crore rupees from Union Carbide. The government said there is fresh data of more suffering caused by the incident, and the Union Carbide said that they are not willing to pay a farthing more. They say that it is what they settled for, and if the government doesn't want the settlement, let the law take its course. Supreme Court said that why did you settle then? One of the parties to the settlement was Union of India and not a weak party. So let's say on the other hand a situation arises that the actual scenario is less horrific than made out to be. Can the other side come out and say that an excess amount was paid in the settlement and they want it back? So please understand the logic here, that Union Carbide made the payment and the other party, that is the central union government, agreed to it. Now they are saying that new data has arose and we need more money. That money is not sufficient. So Supreme Court is asking then why did you settle for it then? And suppose if the new data says that the situation is not so serious, so will you return the money, the excess money that you had taken from Union Carbide? So if not, then why are you demanding new money, more money? So that is the situation that is going on with the Union Carbide case. Constitution bench to take up Section 6A of the Citizenship Act for preliminary determination. So a constitution bench led by Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud said it will first take up for a preliminary determination whether Section 6A of the Citizenship Act 1955 suffers from any constitutional infirmity. First, understand what is Section 6A. Section 6A was a special provision that was inserted into the Citizenship Act in furtherance of a memorandum of settlement that was called Assam Accord, which was signed on 15th August 1985 by the then Rajiv Gandhi government with the leaders of the Assam movement to preserve and protect the Assamese culture, heritage, and linguistic and social identity. The accord came at the end of a 6-year agitation by the All Assam Students Union to identify and deport undocumented immigrants, mostly from neighboring Bangladesh, from the state. During the hearing, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta said that Section 6A was valid. It was enacted as part of the statute, that is the 1955 Act. The petitions challenging the provision filed after nearly 40 years since the enactment of Section 6A should not be entertained. And it is said that the provision is discriminatory in nature. So the petitions were filed challenging the discriminatory nature of Section 6A in granting citizenship to immigrants, illegal ones. The petitioners, including Assam Public Works and others, argued that the special provision was in violation of Article 6 of the Constitution, which fixed the cutoff date for granting citizenship to immigrants at July 19, 1948. So under Section 6A, foreigners who had entered Assam before 1st January 1966 and been ordinarily resident in the state would have all the rights and obligations of Indian citizens. Those who had entered the state between January 1, 1966 and March 25, 1971 would have the same rights and obligations except that they would not be able to vote for 10 years. That is the provision. Excluding civil servants from a state's realm negates autonomy. As you know that Delhi government is always at loggerheads with the lieutenant governor regarding the police, regarding several aspects, regarding the bureaucracy. That Arvind Kejriwal says that police is not in my hand, the law and order situation is not in my hand because it comes under the center and not here, unlike other states where the law and order is the state subject. But in Delhi, it is not so. So Delhi government has told Supreme Court that implementation of government policy was dependent on civil servant. Supreme Court has asked if bureaucrat posted in the capital in relation to police, public order and land come outside the state government's purview. So uh, here it is said that the three areas, that is this police, public order and land, they cover a penumbra of related things. The police, public order go together anyway. The police come largely in the central government's favor. There is nothing much Delhi government can do. For land, there are agencies like the Delhi Development Authority, the and the Land and Development Office. So that has been submitted here. So, who is accountable? The core of the case is how civil servants are accountable to the respective ministers, who in turn are accountable to the legislature, which is accountable to the people. So what is seen in Delhi is how civil servants in a department are serving a different master. That is a complicated situation that has arisen here. So if they are not under the state government, which is the Delhi government, so what are they under and how is the functioning happening? That is the issue here. Collegium sends out recommendations for appointment to 5 high courts. So the Supreme Court Collegium has recommended names appointment as judges in Bombay, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, and Andhra Pradesh, Guwahati, and Manipur High Courts. So these collegium resolutions have come within days of Attorney General R. Venkat Ramani. First of all, please remember the name of Attorney General R. Venkat Ramani. He informing the Supreme Court that the government would adhere to timelines fixed by the court to process recommendations for judicial appointments in high courts. 5 judge Supreme Court bench to hear Sena factional dispute on 14th February. You must have heard about this Shiv Sena issue that happened on August last year. So on August last year, a 3 judge bench of the court had referred the dispute to a constitutional bench of 5 judges. Lawyers had argued that the 3 judge bench raised important constitutional questions relating to interpretation of Schedule 10. Schedule 10. What is Schedule 10? It is anti-defection law of the Constitution pertaining to disqualification, as well as the powers of the Speaker and the Governor and the power of judicial review. So now a 5 judge bench of the Supreme Court has said it will start hearing from February 14 the political battle between Uddhav Thackeray and Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde over the real Shiv Sena. Not for 30% quota in government's job for Uttarakhand women. So the governor of Uttarakhand, Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh, has given his assent to a bill that gives 30% reservation to the native women of the state. With this assent, the Uttarakhand Public Services Horizontal Reservation for Women Bill 2022, the women candidates with the Uttarakhand state domicile got the legal right of 30% reservation in public services and post. Anti-government protest in Peru claim at least 17 lives. So at least 17 people have died on Monday as protesters are trying to storm an airport clashed with security forces in the latest violent spat of month-old political crisis. So as you might be aware that There is a political crisis going on in Peru, and a lot of people have already died. Overall, 39 people have died, and 17 more lives have gone in the latest clash. So, this new chapter of bloodshed took place in the southern city of Juliaca in the Puno region. Like others have for the past month, these protesters were demanding. What do they demand? They want the departure of President uh, Dina Boluarte, who took over after the ouster and arrest of then President Pedro Castillo. Mr. Castillo's removal after he tried to dissolve the Congress and start ruling by decree. He faced several corruption probes. This has triggered weeks of clashes nationwide that have left 39 dead overall. Protesters want Mr. Boluarte to resign and elections right away. So these were some important news that were relevant for January 11. Let's quickly look at the highlights. Union Carbide says that it will not pay any extra money. That what has been settled, it is not going to pay anything more. Constitutional Bench will take up Section 6A of the Citizenship Act for preliminary determination. Excluding civil servants from a state's realm negates autonomy as claimed by Delhi government. Collegium sends out recommendations for appointment of 5 high courts. 5-judge Supreme Court bench to hear Sena factional dispute on February 14th. Assent for 30% quota in government jobs for Uttarakhand women, and anti-government protests in Peru claim at least 17 lives. That's all for right now. See you in the next session with more set of news. Till then, have a good day. Goodbye.